So how do we overcome loneliness and bring some more happiness into our lives? You know, loneliness is probably one of the things that actually unites us. Everybody on the planet experiences loneliness at some stage in their lives, but not many of us are willing to admit to it. So that leaves us feeling that we're the only ones. Hi, I'm Linda, and if this is the first time you've visited my channel, I want to welcome you. So I'm all about providing content for women over 40 who want to make positive changes in their lives. So if this sounds like something that you might be interested in, why not hit the subscribe button? So today I want to talk to you about how to combat loneliness, and I'll be looking at what are some of the things that create loneliness in our lives. And then I'll be looking at some strategies as to how we can combat loneliness. So stay to the end and you'll get some really good strategies of how you can implement this in your life. So whether you're rich or poor, male, female, successful, not successful, it actually doesn't really matter. Every single person does experience it. Even those people that we think are happy all the time and have got the best lives ever, people on social media who post up all their amazing things and the things that they do in their lives, everybody, no matter who they are, will experience loneliness at some stage in their lives. It's okay to admit that you're lonely. It doesn't mean that you're weird or that you're even needy. It's just part of the human condition. We all need to connect with others. We are social beings. We've been made for relationships. So it's absolutely vital that we do make connection with other people. So you would think with social media and smartphones and our tablets, FaceTiming, all the ways that help us to connect with each other instantly, that we would be much more connected today. Well, actually the opposite is true. We are lonelier, more depressed and more anxious than ever. Health rates associated with loneliness are things like depression and suicide, cardiovascular disease and stroke, increased stress levels, decreased memory and learning, poor decision making, alcoholism and drug abuse, and even the progression of Alzheimer's disease. So some of the many events that can trigger loneliness are things like moving to a new location, the death of a loved one, retirement, job loss, a sudden disability or serious illness, children leaving home, the divorce or the end of a relationship, obesity, isolation, physical abuse, real or imagined rejection, the absence of spiritual beliefs, and many, many more things. So I know I've had my fair share of experiences of loneliness, and a couple of them are first time leaving home to go and start work. I mean, during that first year I had several really lonely times. I'd also just split up from my first boyfriend, so that didn't help matters at all. So that was definitely a time when I felt really lonely. Probably one of the most lonely times that I've ever experienced was whenever all my boys were starting to leave home. So we've got 5 boys and there was like 10 years between them. So over a period of probably 7 years, they were all starting to leave home. And I can remember feeling deeply lonely. Now, I know that part of that was because it was more about missing what I had with them. It wasn't a fact that I didn't want them to leave home. It was the fact that I missed what I had with them. So the fun that I had with them, the nurturing of them, just all the things that we did together, that became less. And my role as a mother was less, and I was becoming redundant in that. So that then sparked the questions in my mind. Who am I now if I'm not a mother? What am I going to do for the rest of my life? And so that was a very lonely experience, and it took me quite a while to answer those questions. In fact, it took me several years because I had to explore some new ideas, some new ways of being, some new things that I needed to do. So that was a really lonely time. And do you know what? I think during that time, I never once said to anybody that I feel lonely. And I suppose there is that resistance to do that because you kind of feel very vulnerable in that. You can feel that you're just being needy. But so I suffered in silence really during that time. As someone who is self-employed, I do a lot of work on my own, and I actually enjoy being around people. So I sometimes feel a little bit lonely because I would definitely like to have some more contact with people. So, you know, loneliness affects us in many different ways. It affects different people at different times, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, it's a conversation that we actually really need to have as a society, because I believe that we are becoming more isolated. We're becoming more individualistic through even technology. It's taking away that connection with each other, face to face, that human connection which we desperately need, that touch from somebody else, even just that hand on the shoulder, that hug, just even that smile. Is just really, really important in our lives. I had to learn how to overcome those lonely times, and I had to take action and do something about it. So we're just going to look at some strategies that I have found really, really helpful for me, and other strategies that I know have been really helpful for other people. So here we go. Let's just jump right into that now. Loneliness and aloneness are not the same. Aloneness is a state of being, while loneliness is a state of mind. It's possible to change our mind. The first one is change your self-talk. So it's not our circumstances, but our attitude towards our circumstances that determines how we live our lives. And we can change our attitude. That's the beauty about it. So what we say to ourselves is very important. The words that we use either keep us trapped or set us free. When we say to ourselves or to others, I am lonely, or I am sad, or I am angry, you're stating a fact. There is nothing you can do to change a fact. So when you say I am lonely, the implication is that you can't change. So these are the words that trap you. If, however, we acknowledge that loneliness is a feeling, so we can say I feel lonely, or I feel angry, or I feel sad, then that opens the door, because feelings can and do change. However, if we continue to say I feel lonely and don't do anything about it, nothing's going to change. So I feel lonely and I'm going to do something about it is what will set us free. Second one is make time for relationships. Do you know, this is absolutely important because we are just so busy. Life is going way too fast. We're always busy, doing. If we don't take time out to be with people, to make new friends, to be with the friends that we know, to spend time with people, very slowly we can become alone. Do you know, another thing is to explore and to learn something new. You know, the world is filled with adventure and with interesting things to find out about. It's so easy just to stay in the same old routine, to stay in the rut. But make the effort to get out, go and learn something new, join a night class, volunteer, do whatever it is that is something different in your life. I've recently started going to a writer's group because I'm attempting to write a book. So I thought that's going to be very helpful for me to learn from them, to listen to what they have to say. So that's been really good for me. I've ended up meeting new people. I went recently to a workshop that they had done, and it was just one of the most inspiring things I've done for a long time, and it fed me. And I suppose in my line of work, where I'm always out and about and giving, it's just so good for me to be able to receive from others. So do things that you enjoy, find things that make you happy, and go and do them. Another one is, you know, don't give up. And I know this really applies to me. Sometimes I know I set unrealistic goals for myself, or even just goals for myself. And if they don't work out immediately or in the short term, then I just give up and I go back to doing what I've always done. That is something that I really have had to deal with myself. And this year, I'm really going to push myself beyond that. So rather than just giving up, I'm going to make the effort to just try something different. Look at other options. Because whenever you get into that place of feeling that you have failed, that can be a really lonely place because you think you're just not good enough. Loneliness is something that we can do something about. As I said earlier, it really is a state of mind, and it is about maybe just changing our attitudes a little bit. Maybe it's just doing something very simple. One small step is all that's needed. So hopefully these suggestions have been a little bit helpful to you. So if you like the video, it'd be great if you give me a thumbs up. And also I'd like to hear your comments. What are some of the things that you have done maybe that have helped you in times of loneliness? And it would be really helpful to share that with others. Or what one thing could you do that would help you if you are feeling lonely? So I'd love to hear, and why don't you write in the comments? It would be great to hear from you. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and share it with your friends or whoever you think it may be helpful for. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.